Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one I'm going to be taking a look at a bunch of new cards that were revealed from Paradox Rift. But before we do that, I should say, we have to take a look at some amazing illustration rares and some nice full arts that were revealed for the set. So basically just confirming that these are going to be continuing for the, I think, majority of the Scarlet Violet era. I'd be very surprised if they were to drop these suddenly, because I think they're a major hit with both collectors and players. I mean, this Iron Juggler, for example, is just amazing in my opinion. So yeah, definitely pleased with a lot of these artworks. I think they're going to be major hits. Very sore on the credits though, unfortunately. You know, these are going to be very expensive if you want most of them. But yeah, that's about it for the art rares. Nothing really more to say about that. It's also worth mentioning that the illustration rares of Iron Bundle and Screamtail will be the promos for the Elite Trainer boxes. So respectively, Future Iron Bundle for the Future Elite Trainer box and Ancient Jigglypuff, or Screamtail I should say, for the Ancient Elite Trainer box. But now we can actually get onto the real translations. So we have a Steenie and Bounsweet, which don't really do anything. They're just here to evolve into Tsareena. Really need some more helpful basics in stage 1s to help out stage 2s. But sadly, these two are not going to be doing that. Then we actually skip ahead to a Bad Ice Cream line. I really like this Pokemon. I'm not sure why, because it's just really goofy, but it's just something very appealing about the ice cream Pokemon. I really like it, and I'm always happy when it gets new cards. So just yet another reason to really like this set. But yeah, Vanillix is 150 HP, stage 2 water type, so 150 HP, pretty abysmal, not gonna lie, but it does have the ability Frigid Room. It says your opponent's Pokemon that have 40 HP or less remaining can't attack. And there is actually a stadium that came around in the Sun and Moon era, which had this exact same effect, I think, called Blizzard Town. So that's, I guess, fun to mention if you're trying to do something weird with this in Expanded or GLC. But of course, you know, this is kind of like a anti-God of War style card, I guess. But at the same time, it's a stage 2 that, you know, so it's kind of hard to set up and warrant wanting to play this. Like, maybe I could see this as like a 1-1 line or something, a bit like how Pidgeot is implemented. Maybe just to try and deal with God of War if you're already playing 4 Red Candy, but even then, I think it's a little bit too excessive. Unfortunately, I don't think this, you know, ability warrants seeing play, to be honest. Like, it does have quite a powerful combination actually with Tsareena REX, which we'll talk about in a second. But in all honesty, I don't think this Pokemon is very good. Now, I did mention Blizzard Town earlier because you could try and do something with this, you know, make like a funky deck in GLC, like a weird spread deck or something. So maybe there's potential there for this Pokemon, but honestly, I don't think it's very strong in Standard. Then we have a look at Tsareena EX, which is not listed with the other guys because Tsareena is a water type. So 310 HP water type, a bit on the weak side in terms of HP, but it does have the really cool attack Icicle Soul for 1 grass energy, put damage counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon until its remaining HP is 30. So this is obviously only as good as the Pokemon your opponents have in play. So if, you know, if they have a 60 HP Bidoof, you're only doing 30 damage. If they have a Charizard EX, then you're doing 300 damage. So it is only good as to what your opponent has in play, but it will, you know, cut through tanky decks. And this is, of course, really good against stuff like Roaring Moon EX, which will damage itself. So if you put them down to 30 HP, they won't be able to use their main KO attack, which is actually pretty relevant and worth mentioning. You could also pair this up with other stuff that would then lead to a KO. So Assume Bravery actually comes to mind, the one that places 3 damage counters on each of your opponent's Pokemon that have any damage counters on them. So, you know, that also attacks for free, so could be quite efficient despite being another stage 1 line. But, you know, something to bear in mind, you could also play this Vanillix if you really wanted to for a bit of a troll deck, but in all honesty, I don't think this combo would be very good. It's like one of those combos from the set that I'm kind of looking forward to trying out, and I kind of want to test it out, but it's probably going to be pretty bad. But, you know, we could definitely get some fun videos out of these pair, and honestly, I'm just super excited for this set. I think it's way better than even some people are giving it credit for right now, but yeah, it's just one of those fun combos. The attack is not very good, to be honest. It's not actually that efficient, but it's still a very fun attack to build a deck around. Then the second attack, Drop Kick, for, I think it's supposed to be Drop Kick, for 2 grass, does 180, heal 30 of its Pokemon, recovers from all special conditions, blah, 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 blah. We don't really care about this attack. It's mainly there just so you can essentially finish something off after you use Icicle Soul. So, yeah, pretty fun card overall, and nice to see Tsareena getting more representation after it got a Radiant Pokemon. Next up, though, is we have another Trastor line, which is actually going to be for Toxtricity. So, lightning type Toxel, and then fighting type Toxtricity, boosting some actually very cool artwork there. So you can get the image to load, please. There we go. So got a bit of a cake, I think, on the top there, a bit of a large marshmallow or something. But yeah, 260 HP, so actually quite on the low end for a Terrestrial Pokemon. Like, you'd expect Stage 1 Terrestrials to have around 280, to be honest, but a bit on the low end because, to be fair, it has two pretty good attacks. The first one, Knocking Hammer, isn't even that bad. 70 damage for 2 lightning to discard top card your opponent's deck, which is basically there to just KO Comfeys, or be a finishing move for Gaiapunk, which is, I really hope that's actually the correct translation because it's a dope name for an attack. But for 3 lightning energy, does 270, and you discard 3 lightning energy from your Pokemon in play. Now, why this is really, really good and why it's really efficient is Fluffy. Now, Generator will only power up to lightning Pokemon, which you'll probably play anyway, because let's face it, you're playing lightning energy, you might as well play stuff like the Raichu. But to be honest, you will be able to use Fluffy to charge up this guy, as far as I'm aware. And of course, you can use Fluffy to charge up your bench Pokemon, because you probably don't want to discard, all energy attached to your active, unless you're expecting to be KO'd. So a very strong attack, and of course 270 is just absolutely bonkers. It's going to KO the majority of Pokemon V-Star, maybe not all of them actually, but you could get modifiers like Hawlucha involved. You will KO stuff like Darkrai V-Star actually, which is pretty funny because, you KO them anyway because of weakness. That was a terrible example, but you can kind of see what I'm saying here. You could use modifiers if you want to get stuff like Palkia, and I've nearly said Arceus there, but of course Arceus does have weakness, so yeah, very strong attack overall. You will have to modify this slightly more if you want to get up to like EX territory, but overall, I think this is a very efficient attack. Is it as efficient as Raichu V? Maybe not, but because it's, 260 HP, it is pretty tanky for Lightning deck without being 3 prize Regieleki or something. So I do think this card is pretty good, and I expect to see a bunch of play at some point because 270 for effectively 3 lightning energy, which is really easy to do in lightning decks. I think it could be really good. So yeah, great card overall. Then we have some more Nackleys, aka the Minecraft Pokemon line. Very nice to see. We do have Gargankel, 160 HP, so a little bit more tanky for stage 2s. Honestly, I'd expect a Pokemon as big as Gargankel to have like 200 HP, to be honest. But yeah, 160, they did my boy dirty. Also, Line Crash is absolutely terrible. But we're kind of just here for the ability anyway, Energy Rock Salt, that says once your turn, you may attach a basic fighting energy from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. If you do, heal 30 damage from that Pokemon. So it's nice that it accelerates to any Pokemon, not just fighting types, which is cool. So if we ever get any cool colorless Pokemon, I guess, in the future. And you could pair this up with the Sandy Shocks EX, I think it is. Yeah, Sandy Shocks. So that requires fighting energy. So you could use that in combination with Sada. So it's a nice little combo to bear in mind. But outside of that, I think this has seriously limited and niche uses. Maybe, I guess, GLC, this is massive, but it's actual fighting acceleration for once. But in all honesty, in standard, it's just severely outclassed by Garchomp EX, which for single energy, if you don't know, does 160 damage and lets you accelerate up to 3 fighting energy from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way you like. And I did actually do a video recently where I looked at some Garchomp lists, so if you're interested in that, please do check it out. But basically, Garchomp is just way more efficient of a way of accelerating fighting energy to the point where you would actively go out of your way to include a stage 2 line of Garchomp just to accelerate energy to a basic. So I really don't know why Gargankel is here. If it was accelerate 2 energy and, obviously didn't heal any damage, then I could get more on board because, Baxcalibur accelerates any amount from the hand. There's no reason why this couldn't accelerate at least 2 energy, but yeah, it's a bit of a shame, but honestly, the healing 30, I don't really care about, and accelerating 1 is pretty weak. But yet again, this is obviously a big deal for GLC, so nice to see that. Then we actually see another Porygon line. The most recent Porygon was actually in Pokemon card 151, so not actually that far off, but, still nice to see. And we do have a Porygon Z, which, funny enough, I think was actually part of these reveals because this card could actually combo with the the Toxtricity EX, which we'll see in a second. But yeah, it's just funny, worth wrenching in mind, I think. But Porygon Z, 150 HP, so once again, low HP for a Stage 2 Pokemon. But it does have the ability Bug Turbo. Once in your turn, you can flip a coin. If heads, choose up to 4 basic energy from your discard pile, attach them to this Pokemon. If tails, discard an energy. So if you're attacking with this card, then there's a good chance on the second turn of your game if you're able to, Red Candy turn 2, then you might only do 80 or even just 40 damage if you missed a mining attachment, which is of course pretty bad. But if you somehow, were able to accelerate 4 energy and flip heads, then that's obviously really good. And you can actually swing for like 160. And I do think we actually have a Kingdra as well in Standard that allows you to move all energy from your active spot onto Kingdra when it gets KO'd. So you could use Porygon Z to then power up itself and then move on to Kingdra. So, just a bit of a weird deck. And of course, you could use this in combination with the Toxtricity, like we mentioned earlier. So I think this is honestly a pretty cool card. It is unfortunately outclassed in GLC by the Porygon in Expanded. But again, if you're not playing with too many people, or you're struggling to acquire a Porygon from Expanded, you don't want to play, well, you don't want to pay like a lot of money online, then honestly, this Porygon isn't a terrible option for a GLC deck. Like, you could build around it. There's definitely a lot of Pokemon like Ho-Ho that require different types of basic energy anyway. So I think this could be a very fun card in both formats, both Standard and GLC. And of course, Expanded, you have Battle Compressor. So a very fun stage 2, honestly, across the board. It's nice to see, an ability that could potentially accelerate 4 energy. Of course, there is a downside, but, if you flip heads, we don't care. So yeah, pretty fun card overall. Then we have Spinder, which has the ability Staggered Foot. If its Pokemon is confused and receives damage from attack, you may flip a coin. If heads, prevent that damage done to this Pokemon. And its attack is nothing special, so the Spinder is kind of like another meme deck. There seems to be a lot of meme cards from the set, but in all honesty, voice is going a bit there, sorry, but yeah, I think this is definitely more of a fun card for like a Charm Box deck, but yeah, I don't know. It's fun, but it's not like crazy or anything. But yeah, I do think the Porygon is fun overall. The Garganacl is sadly just, in the shadow of Garchomp, which is a bit of a shame. The Toxtricity, I think, is easily one of the best Terrastalls that we've seen from the set. I think this could definitely take off at some point if we can get the list right. 270 is just too much damage to ignore at this point. It just sets up so much. Like, one Raichu after this doing 60 is enough to KO anything, really. So yeah, I think this card is going to be pretty relevant if we can get it going. Tsareena, likewise, is more of a meme card along with Vanillix, but still could be a lot of fun. And yeah, that's about it for today's reveals, apart from the amazing art rares. But yeah, let me know what you think of these down below. Which deck will you be building from Paradox Rift first? There's just so many fun, cool new decks from the set. But yeah, this has been Error Power. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. And if you enjoy this content, then feel free to subscribe. We're actually just past 500 subs. Don't want to jinx it and go back down to 499. But, if you enjoy this content, do subscribe, and hope you'll see you next time. Thank you for watching.